What's up, peeps? Julian Williams here at the distance. Got a video for you guys. This is my last video for tonight. This one's Winky Wright retires. Winky had decided he was going to retire on June the 4th, following his defeat to Peter Quillen. And one thing I could say about Winky Wright, and I was pretty much talking a little about Winky in the Shane Mosley video. One thing I could say about Winky Wright is he's a fighter that really grew on me. Just over the years. The first time I saw Winky fight was against Robert. I want to say it was Robert Frazier. It was the first person I saw him fight. And I remember at first at one time, because I didn't have a deep appreciation of the sport, I hated Winky. I did not like his style. I just absolutely didn't like him. I would go back and I would see fights every now and again. Like I would see the fight against Vargas, and then a couple other fights that he had, but I just was not a fan of Winky, and this is back, when I was a teenager. I just didn't like Winky. I didn't really like the style. I didn't like him standing there, shelling up, and then throwing punches when you're not throwing punches. I just hated that style. I can't emphasize it much more because over the years, since my teenage years, I've become more of a fan of boxing and more of a fan of fighters that have a unique style for themselves. And when I went back, and with the creation of YouTube and which gives me the luxury of going back and looking at old fights, I could see how Winky evolved, how his career evolved, from day one. I saw him in the one fight, and I saw why he fought like that. I saw him knocked down 5 or 6 times in one fight. So just overall, man, you have to respect a fighter like Winky, a fighter from the United States that went overseas and fought numerous times to build up his recognition before he came back and fought here. He faced some good fighters himself. He even jumped up as high as 170 pounds to fight, Bernard Hopkins. And this was in 2007. He's coming off of 3 straight losses. And just overall, man, Winky Wright, I can tell you this, even though he was a defensive fighter, he always came to fight. He was very technical, pretty much perfected his technique, blocked punches well, was able to sneak in little shots, sneak in a few quick jabs, a few left hands. Even though he didn't have, world-class power, he was just a good technical defensive fighter, and for his time was probably one of the best defensive fighters of his time behind Floyd Mayweather, even up there with Floyd. He's one of the best defensive fighters in our era. And pretty much, I remember, and I was talking about the on the Mosley video, I remember the first time I kind of looked at an entire Winky Wright fight. It was against Shane Mosley. I thought Shane was going to go in and he was going to knock him out. And boy, was I wrong. I was the hugest Shane Mosley mark when I was a teenager. I was the hugest Shane Mosley mark. I remember, I think it was one specific time when I was telling kids at school in the early thousands, I would say stuff like, yeah, Shane Mosley would knock out Felix Trinidad. Yeah, Trinidad's afraid of Mosley. But I would always overlook Winky Wright. And to be honest, I didn't even hear Winky Wright till 2002. But, as far as Winky is concerned, I just wasn't a fan of his style. And then over the years, I kind of grew to appreciate that style a lot more than I did in the past. You have to respect the fighter that goes in and doesn't take too many punches. But you would wonder, when's this dude going to get tired of, catching punches up top? When does his hands hurt? So you have to definitely respect the fighter like that. And I think that if he would have stayed active over the years, I think he probably could have left his career, with a W. He was supposed to fight like Matthew Macklin and Grady Brewer, but those fights never came to fruition. But just overall, man, Winky Wright had one hell of a career, and I think that Winky is a future Hall of Famer. Unified that light middleweight division. Had that great fight with just that display against Felix Trinidad. A fight I thought Tito Trinidad was going to go in and win myself. He went in, neutralized his left hook, countered him, used his jab, managed managed the space very well. You know, and that just made me a huge fan of Winky. And then the great fight with Jermaine Taylor. Just, man, Winky Wright, man, definitely, I didn't think I would say this about 7-8 years ago, but he's definitely going to be a fighter that I'm going to miss, man. I think that, I personally think that Winky will make a great trainer. I think he'll make a great trainer, especially to a southpaw fighter, and maybe help a fighter transform the style the same way that he did. So anyway, peeps, I'm out of here. That was The Distance. Thanks for watching. Peace.